everybody. My name is Harry Lang. I'm the VP of Marketing at Kwalee, and today I'm speaking at the Game Masters Summit's emerging track with a rather uncreatively titled A to Z of Marketing a Hit Mobile Game. And it kind of does what it says on the tin. I'm just going to give you probably around half an hour walk through fairly rapidly of some of the key elements that we and the industry deploys in marketing a mobile game, whether it's hyper casual, hybrid, casual, or any of the other genres. I'm going to get started, so hopefully you'll enjoy. So the short version, the short title, the TLDR, if you will, about this is really what do we do in marketing and how do we sell and monetize mobile games. Please do remember to use the app or the Hoover web app to ask questions in the Q&A or in the chat, and I will leave some time at the end to answer those. If I don't have enough time for all, I'm sure to catch up on Q&A later on through the day. So let's get started. There's quite a lot to get through. First of all, A/B testing. This is one of the most crucial elements of everything we do within marketing. Marketing as a whole discipline is never perfect. We never get a perfect result. And it's kind of why I enjoy it so much. Because we can never get to an end where we put down our tools and say, right, we're done. There's always something more. There's always better performance. The way we find the best performance on any given day in any given channel for any ad creative is A/B testing. And we test everything. When I say everything, we get hyper granular all the way down to button colors. And you'd be amazed in terms of conversion rate, how much of a difference a button color can make. So the only way we find out how the ads work is literally A/B testing through the entire process. And when we get to the end, we get a winner, and that winner's good. And it's good for that hour, that second only. Then we start again. And it's kind of crucial to remember that it is a never-ending process. It kind of keeps you on your toes in that respect. A also stands for ASO. It's kind of a big deal as well in the mobile games world. And I've got that somewhere later on under V. That'll make sense by the time I get there. So what's next? B. B is for big brands. And I'm not sure where you are in your mobile games journey. I know we have a lot of students attending today. We have some people who are sort of starting out in their careers in the emerging track. Most of you would have heard of some of these big titles. Candy Crush, Call of Duty, GTA, Clash of Clans, Minecraft. No, the big IPs, the ones that sort of famous entities. Some of them are famous IPs before that were migrated into games. Some of them are games that have become part of our day-to-day, parlance on their own right. However, just having a big name title is not good enough in mobile games. There's plenty of examples through history, the carcasses of games that weren't good enough. They kind of relied on the game IP or the brand IP. And the example I think is sort of well known in the industry is Kick-Ass. Kick-Ass, the film, released a game or released by an organization. It was a poor game. And the point of this is product is everything. You have to start with a good product. You can't rely on fame of a name alone to make everything work. If you have a good product and a good brand IP and you market it well, then you'll likely find success that way. But you can't do it without all those three things together. C, crikey. And I cheated here because the fact is we've got loads of C words within mobile marketing or mobile games marketing. I've just listed out a glossary of some of the key ones here. There are more. And at some point, I'm pretty sure on the Kwalee blog, we'll do a glossary of key topics across all the letters. But no, you've got CRO, conversion rate optimization. So how we enhance the conversion of an ad. CPI, cost per install, one of our key metrics. How much does it cost us to get one single install of one app game on one of the app stores? Click-through rate, CTR, another one related to performance marketing metrics. Cost per click, you probably heard about. Cost per engagement, very similar. Call to action, that's the CTA. What you do to drive someone to actually make that crucial button press to go through from an ad into an app store and install your game. And that is our goal. That is our win in UA marketing, growth marketing, performance marketing, is to get someone to go, I like the look of that. That looks like fun. I'm going to install it. So call to action and conversion rates are massive. COP, that's not actually an acronym. That's COP, because one of our highest performing titles is airport security. and one of our highest performing ad creators is this one here. And it's a bit of a sign. That guy doing the elbow drop, he happens a lot. It's a well-loved ad. This ad is not only quite witty and amusing, it's a massive high performer. And you'll see good CTA, good button colors, good witted humor within the ad. It's got a hook and hold. We use that phrase a lot. Hook someone in within 2 seconds, hold their attention with a narrative in the ad, and give them a strong CTA. And get that right, and your ad will be a high performer. D stands for developers. And pardon my language, but there's only one way to say it. We rarely succeed in polishing turds. And I mentioned this before. Having a poor product and marketing it extremely well rarely, if ever, works. You have to start with a strong product. You have to start with developers crafting an excellent game. It's hugely competitive. There are tens of thousands of titles out there, all clamoring to get somewhere near the top of the iOS or Play Store charts. And the product is pretty much everything. If you give us a good product in marketing, we can take that to the stars. If you give us a poor product, we're already on the lowest rung and going backwards. Another D is daily active users. You'll kind of get used to this. Acronyms are all over our day-to-day lives. Daily active users is as it sounds. How many active users has any one game got on any one day? And it's a key KPI of ours. On to E for engagement. Within our ads, I use the phrase hook and hold, and that's really about engagement. It's about capturing someone's attention. If you imagine looking at your phone and how many ads you see on an average day, you kind of gloss over most of them. Having something that actually captures engagement gives someone a reason to pause and a reason to get interested and a reason to be entertained or think, what's going on now? Something strange happens. Look at this ad for Perfect Coffee, an example. We've got a very good hook, something unusual, and a very good hold, and then links through to gameplay mechanics. This draws you in and gives you a very strong reason to find out what's going to happen next, and hopefully a strong reason to actually install the game. Then we move on to F, free to play. Free to play is kind of everything for hyper casual games. It's everything for hybrid games. It's pretty much everything for casual games on mobile. This is the world as it is. We give away the games and we monetize elsewhere. It's different to our PC and console arm. We have a PC and console department and we sell our games like normal retail. We sell them online via Steam. With mobile, it's free to play and we monetize either through ads within the game, as you do exclusively on hyper casual, or ads blended with IAPs or in-app purchases, as you do on hybrid. IAPs tend to be much more dominant in casual, mid-core and hardcore games. So games are inherently easier to sell because we're not charging for them, but they're harder to monetize. And because hyper-casual games are relatively easy to make, everyone can make them in high volume. So you still have to have a very high quality bar and a very high engagement bar to get to the number of eyeballs that can actually generate an ad revenue. It's far from easy. And there's a lot of games out there that probably would have been successful back in the day that simply don't cut it anymore. The quality bar is raised, and as such, our performance requirements have raised as well. G is for games. I'll repeat this again and again till the cows come home. Games must come first, right? If you don't give someone a good game, they will churn. If you're making your money on ad revenue, then the more ads you can sell to a customer or serve to a customer, the more money you're able to generate. If they're not engaged by the game, they leave the game, they're not watching ads, you'll make less money. This is the sum. So the challenge is acquisition and then lifetime value, generating a long lifetime in the game. So they watch more ads or they buy more IAPs and generate more revenue. That's the commercial model of this entire business. Looking at the different game types, we get to H. So there's 3 H's in game types for mobile: hyper, hybrid, and hardcore. In between those, you've got casual and mid-core as well. Looking at the right-hand side, I've tried to do a bit of a sort of visual analogy just to describe to those of you who are brand new to this what these mean. Hyper-casual is the simplest form, relatively easy to make, very easy to get into, very intuitive, very snackable. So they're the Monster Munch of this world. And our game Draw It, with well over 100 million installs already, is a very good example of a hyper-casual title and a hyper-casual hit. Moving to hybrids, hybrid's a bit of a bigger deal, bit of a sandwich. Archero is a famous hybrid casual title. Some ads in there, some IAPs in there. And then you get casual games like Candy Crush. Candy Crush, much more in-depth gameplay, much longer lifetimes, higher acquisition costs, much more driven by IAP purchases. Then mid-core and hardcore, these are your full meals or your 5-course meals. Call of Duty Mobile, Final Fantasy VI. These are effectively like PC games that you can play on your mobile, almost entirely driven by IAPs and subscriptions. All of them, though, depend on a level of LTV, a game that keeps people playing and having fun for longer. So talking of IAPs, this is the detail really. IAPs within hybrid, IAPs within casual, and everything up from casual. This is the big ticket items, whether it's buying skip its, whether it's buying subscriptions, whether it's buying bundles, or rewarded videos, so videos you watch as ads and they reward you with in-game assets. These are IAPs, and these are kind of the driving force behind a whole majority of those mid-range mobile games. Jay, taking a step aside, I'm going to look at one game specifically. This is a good example of a hyper-casual hit game. And this was our game, Jetpack Jump. Why is this a hyper-casual game? It's instantly intuitive. The title tells you what you're about to get. The ads will tell you, no, look at it. It's a long jump runway and a guy's got a jetpack. You kind of know what you're about to do. And you quite like the idea of it. You're going to run along, press a button, jetpack takes you off, and then you're going to have to boom yourself down as far as you can and collect rewards on the way as you go through various levels. It's very rewarding, both emotionally and rationally. It's emotionally rewarding because you feel you're making progress quite easily and you can carry on making progress. Rationally, you're hitting rewards and prize points. That makes you feel good about the game and your progress in it. It's bite-sized, and it is a perfect loo game. And I do kind of mean that. This is the kind of take a little break for 5 minutes. This is the kind of hyper-casual title that's perfect for that. Cleanly designed, eye-catching colors, and made great ads. A huge amount of work goes into a game like this. If you see it, it's very bright. It's very intuitive in terms of what you're about to get. You can see our ads, quite noisy, but very much eye-catching, very much ear-catching. And so making great ads and great games means great conversion. And so there's sort of nonsense. The data explains to us what ads are successful and what ads aren't successful. We're never subjective about these things. And it's really important, this. Being subjective and going, I love this ad creative, we should run it, we should spend loads on it. It's entirely the wrong approach. We should follow the data. The data should tell us this ad, no matter how weird or unusual. And trust me, especially when we get into TikTok, we create some stuff that I just can't get my head around, but they're winners. You follow the winners, no matter where the concept comes from, no matter how weird it seems to be or what trend it's piggybacking on. You follow the data and let the data tell you where you got hit ad creative. K is for KPI, key performance indicator. So marketing has a reputation. It's the creative job to take. It's fun. It's lighthearted. Inherently, most of our work is pinned on data, like I said, and KPIs are how we track data and track performance. We set key performance indicators before any campaign or any strategy set up, and that gives us a guide as to how close we are to getting to the desired result. A KPI is a definable goal, or the dictionary definition would be quantifiable measure of performance over time for a specific objective. So if we're talking about mobile games user acquisition, or UA, one campaign KPI might be X% ROAS, or return on advertising spend. So it's crucial to set KPIs. And this was just an excuse to put a harp seal in because everyone likes harp seals. It's easy presentation for them. But KPIs are critical of knowing how well you're doing against your objectives. I mentioned lifetime value before for L. Lifetime value is how much value you can get from a single customer at any single time. And lifetime value is pinned on having sticky games. Games that keep people's players engaged for longer will generate more ad eyeballs and more revenue, or more IAP sales and more revenue. So lifetime value is absolutely essential for understanding how to drive value of a particular game at any one time. Sticky games is the phrase, games that keep people stuck and playing them and engaging them for longer. M, we're looking at monetization. So when we're doing ad-driven games, hyper-casual and quite a large proportion of hybrid casual games, monetization is the process by which we sell the ad space within our own games. And it's quite weird, this, and it took me a while to get my head around it back in the day. We basically advertise on Google, on ad networks, on SDKs, and TikTok. So we're customers. We're buying ad space, and we put our ads up there. People click, they come through to our games. Within our games, we serve ads a lot of the time for our competitors. You know, they put their game ads in our games, we put our ads in their games, and then we sell that ad space back to the same networks and the same customers via a process called mediation. And this is the monetization process within that, and it's relatively complex, but I would encourage you to go and look up the details of how mediation and monetization works. Effectively, that capacity to buy ad space and sell it back at a premium, the gap in the middle of those two prices is your margin. And we use a process called a waterfall. Effectively, when we're selling it back, it goes into a very clever piece of technology that allows networks to effectively bid in an auction process. And if the first network doesn't have demand for the ad space, the waterfall goes on to the next one and the next one and the next one, like a waterfall. And that process happens a gazillion times on every game and every single day. And the objective of the monetization team, which sits within marketing, is to sell the ad space at the maximum profit at any given instance, at any given time in any particular geo. It's incredibly clever. It's incredibly vital. It's how we generate revenue. And as much as we all love games and we love marketing, our jobs are to generate the maximum revenue from all our 80 plus games at any given time. N is for never give up. It's a mantra that I was told a lot when I was younger. You know, you don't give up, you carry on pushing and pushing and pushing. Not giving up is a sort of standard to bear. The fact is, we give up all the time in our marketing team. Fail fast is not the mantra. It's actually crucial to how we operate a successful and efficient marketing strategy. And it feels a bit counterintuitive because at other points in life, giving up feels like a failure. Fail fast is about identifying when a campaign isn't going as well as it should, when a geo isn't going as well as it should, when creative isn't quite pinned. And you want to pull it down so you don't waste money chasing your tail down a rabbit hole. You move on to the next creative, you test that, you optimize that. Having KPIs that identify what good looks like is a crucial part of fail fast. If you don't know what good looks like, you don't know when you get to a gate that says, no, you should stop now and move on to the next ad creative. So this is absolutely critical for us. Dumping campaigns that don't work and investing in those that do is everything. And one of the things that we follow within the team here at Kwalee, the marketing team, is celebrating that failure. You know, we celebrate giving up on ad creative because that means we're saving. That means we're moving on to positive, successful ad creative sooner, rather than trying to sort of push ad creative that's never going to get there. And I think there's a mindset shift in there that's really important about celebrating the fact that you've been clever enough to identify when something's not going to hit the KPIs and you're moving on and you're moving in a more positive direction more rapidly. O is for optimization. Everything we do is about optimizing. It's about making it better and better. What I said at the start about never being perfect in marketing, I was being absolutely serious. We can't get to perfect. It's great in that respect because we never get bored, because you can never stop and go, I finished my work, it's done forever. I can celebrate and just stop and move on. We never get there because there's always an opportunity to optimize something. And like I said at the start, whether it's a button color, whether it's a media channel, whether it's a time of day, whether it's a language localization, ad creative, media types, game types, geos, localization, and 1,000 other things can be optimized. And the next day, that perfect optimization doesn't work anymore because the world moves on, people move on, games move on, more competitors come in, all the way down to button colors, right? We A/B test, like I said in the A/B test bit at the letter A/B testing button colors. It sounds, well, you know, why would you do that? I've seen historically swings of up to 20% on button color and shape, right? In my old career in the gambling industry, 20%, if you imagine that across millions of ad impressions, it's hugely significant. So I'd encourage you to always look at these granular things. And effectively, if you optimize 1,000 things by 1%, you've got a huge hit on your hands. You've got huge success in your hands. It's often not about a massive Hail Mary, one decision, one campaign makes all the success. It's often about these tiny, tiny granular decisions you make and optimize a tiny, tiny bit, and you add all those bits up, and that will send your graph skyrocketing. And that's effectively how we operate. I can't remember the last time that we had one thing that sent everything to the sky. It's always granular optimization. P is for playable ads. So playable ads are exactly what they sound like, right? They're ads that you play. So we make mobile games. It stands to reason that when we're advertising on mobile ad networks, we put the game content into the ads, and hopefully people see it and go, I like the look of that. I'd like to play that game. And that's what playable ads are. So you can see here, Police Pursuit, another game there. You play the ad, and then there's a call to action. And what you're trying to do is draw people down the sales funnel. So they see it, they're aware of the game, they might quite like the look of it, they play it, which means they've got a depth of engagement, they're quite enjoying it. And then you smack them with a call to action, play it now. It's free to play. You've taken them halfway down the sales funnel in a 20-second ad. So playable ads are awesome. Getting the right mechanics, getting the right gameplay, getting in the right format, tweaking it so it's right for the audience in that channel, that's all crucial. And again, tiny little tweaks can make significant percentage improvements between two ads that look to the layperson incredibly similar. Q stands for question everything. And I think this kind of links back to the never being satisfied and the always optimizing piece. Our job in marketing, as marketers, no matter what channel you're working on, is about creativity. Yes, it's about thinking outside the box. It's about doing things differently. It's also about questioning what the status quo is. You have to try and be inventive to find opportunities, because the media landscape, the audience landscape, the games landscape is changing so frequently. No day is ever the same in this job. If you want to sort of follow a career in marketing in the games industry, I celebrate that. It's wonderful. It's such fun. But if you want something reliable and safe and to know exactly where you'll be in 6 months' time and what you'll be working on, it isn't that. It's the opposite of that. But it means it's fun. It means it's intriguing. It means you can always challenge yourself to find these little granular answers. We only improve by understanding. Perfection is impossible. And again, tiny improvements are likely to be where your wins are. Tiny improvements times 1,000,000 will be a good year. And that's it. Small changes means the sum is greater than the parts. Another ad format we use and we lean on a lot is rewarded videos. And I think I mentioned this earlier on. Rewarded videos are effectively videos we show that mean if you want to skip ads later on, you can watch a video, or if you want to get assets in a game, say you want to jump up some levels, or there's in-game assets you want to have, you can watch a video or an ad that will basically pay you in added value. So basically, we're paying players to watch an ad. And if the value exchange is good enough, they're very happy to do that. They'll watch the ad, they get a digital benefit for watching the ad, and then they carry on playing the game. Another crucial R, and I kind of cheated here because there's a few of these that double up, but another crucial one is ROAS. I mentioned it earlier, but return on advertising spend. We spend a huge amount of money advertising our games. You have to. In hyper-casual, in hybrid, in casual titles, the idea of a viral game that organically goes big just doesn't really happen anymore. You need to invest. ROAS is how many dollars you get back proportionally from every dollar that you spend on ads. So you advertise on that network, like I said, over there, and then you monetize over there, and then you've got a margin in the middle, and that delta is effectively your ROAS. Keeping an eye on the ROAS is very, very important. If your ROAS is less than what you spent on the ads, you're onto a loser, which sometimes is okay. When you're scaling a game, when you're working at ad creative, it's okay to be behind the curve, but you want to be pointing in a positive direction. You don't want to be sitting down at the loser level for too long. S stands for SDK. SDK is everywhere within the marketing space within mobile games. Software Development Kit is its full name, and it's effectively code similar to an API, but much, much deeper, that lets mobile apps connect to third-party services. They also allow game developers to connect to ad networks, and basically, they're the fibers that run throughout everything. So the good analogy that I found on describing it, while an API might act like a bridge, SDKs are deeply embedded. So effectively, deeper tools can be facilitated through an SDK than they could be through an API. T stands for testing. And this is very, very closely linked to optimization. In games products within Kwalee, everything's tested to the nth degree. And in our marketing team, with our UA ads, within our creative team in marketing, everything is tested and tested and tested. We gather data from Facebook, Google, TikTok, the SDK platforms, the ad networks, and then test, A/B test, concurrently test, and move on. And winners then sink to the top, float to the top. When we find a winner, we can then scale and invest more into it. U is user acquisition. It's quite self-descriptive, this one. User acquisition is how we acquire new customers, how we acquire people around the world to install our games, how we get bums on seats, or eyeballs on games, or thumbs on screens. We have a growth team, or effectively, we have a performance marketing team within which we have growth and UA, and they work side by side with the creative team, and they are effectively optimizing performance marketing campaigns day in, day out. The difference between performance marketing and brand marketing is that brand marketing, the campaigns raise awareness. They kind of go out in the world as a mass market and go, here's the brand, shout about it, and let people then proactively take out the information they want. Performance marketing is laser targeted. And effectively, you pay for your objective, which in this instance would be the click or the button click to install the game after the fact. And we work with all the major platforms and ad networks. And some games work well on some work well on others. Geos often play a part. User acquisition is an art and a science, and it's twinned incredibly tightly with the creative department. So good creative that's next to a good media buy at the right time, in the right place, with the right localization, that package will work best on a given day. And those relationships are fluid. They are constant. The collaboration and communication is how it works. U is also the USA. Unsurprisingly, the USA is massive. It's our biggest market. We do well, like I said, in lots of markets in different games. Some games kaboom in the Far East. Some games do very well in the Middle East. Some games do very well in LATAM. The USA tends to be the big one. So when we're looking at testing, when we're looking at scaling, we might test in other markets with cheaper media costs, but effectively, we really want to know if we can get a game to work well in the USA, because that's where the big scaling success is, and that's where we can start going up the major app store charts. Here's where I'm cheating a little bit. I did say at the beginning, I wanted to talk about ASO, App Store Optimization. So V is for Valerie. Valerie is our ASO manager within the marketing team. ASO, App Store Optimization, is effectively like SEO, search engine optimization, except for the app stores. It's how you organically make your app or your game look more appealing, index more highly, be more searchable within Apple's App Store or Google's Play Store. And there are loads of methodologies and tactics you can deploy. And it's very much a defined skill. I mean, this is a very specific role to understand the nuance, everything from icon design. And on the right-hand side, you'll see here, we A/B test so many of these in different formats. And sometimes it's a bit like ad creative. Surprising ones win. Things you weren't entirely expecting to win come out on top. Follow the data. Go with the one that works the best in that particular app store. The same with assets, asset screenshots in the app store, descriptions, keyword selection, the video of gameplay you choose. Testing and testing and testing will show you organic performance. And this is key. Being an organic channel, it's low cost. So it's totally essential to invest the time in it. If you can get well optimized in the app stores, it's a very good foundation on which to build your organic presence. W stands for worldwide team. You don't need to have a huge marketing organization to market online games. You can do the basics. A lot of it is things that can be self-taught. If you're building your own title, you can do ASO, you can test ad creative, you can build Facebook campaigns at a base level. Within our organization, we do it, but we do it at significant scale. And this is a rough cut picture of what our marketing org looks like. That blurry character there, that's me. That over there is Ryan, who'll be hosting the keynote after lunchtime. That's Ryan's performance marketing team. Ryan's creative team is in there as well. We have product marketing in there. Over here is our PC and console marketing department, and somewhere in here as well is our brand team. we've got 80 people over 5 continents. And I always like the fact that we are in 5 continents as a marketing organization. From user acquisition, monetization, creative, product marketing, ASO, those are just the mobile games marketing sides. And then you've got brand and PC console on top. So to do the number of games that we do and to UA and monetize them accordingly, it takes that many people. But I think it is worth remembering, if you're building a game, developing a game, to prove the concept, to find out if the game's got strength and merit, you can do this at the coalface. And a lot of hero games start out on that very premise. So this is kind of the ridiculous large end of the scale, but you can start at the one person, one game, test and learn end of the scale as well. X stands for X Factor. High performing ad creative, like I said, it blends data, insight, skill, creativity, piggybacking trends, trends in TikTok, we lean on those every single day, and persistence. It also relies on luck. Sometimes we get wins and we don't really understand why we've got the winners. They simply happen. The data tells us the ads are super high performance, the game's skyrocketing, and we look at it and try and analyze it. And sometimes you go, it is what it is. We got the blend right. The blend was near perfect for that channel at that given time. However, I think there's a famous Lee Trevino quote about this. The more we practice, the luckier we get, right? We do kiss a lot of frogs. It's back to fail fast. The reason we get lucky, the reason we generate hit ads and have hit campaigns quite regularly is because we push a lot of volume of effort in creative and media testing. And I've got a very good quote here from Gavin, our creative director, who's also speaking today. Creative UA is a conversation starter. It kicks off the dialogue you have with the user, how you translate the excitement of the game into short blasts of creativity, and how you tell a story and make the audience want to be part of that story. Very eloquently said by Gavin. But we still kiss a lot of frogs and we still have a lot of failures. But add all these things together and our hit rate is probably better than most. Coming towards the end now, why is for you? You guys watching this will come from all sorts of backgrounds. You'll be at different stages of your career. I think we have a lot of students at Game Masters in the emerging track today. So I've got no idea where you are in your career process, but you probably want a career in games, very possibly in games marketing, because you're watching me. So first of all, that's brilliant news. It took me an 8-year career in advertising, a 17-year career in online gambling to finally find my way here to Kwalee and my job now. And that's too long. And I'm a bit mad that it took me that long because it's brilliant. It's a really good career. It's the most fun I've had at work in 25 years of working. What I encourage you to do is to take advantage of today. So download the app if you haven't already, ask loads of questions, meet as many people as you can, make connections on LinkedIn afterwards, make some friends to bounce ideas off, or potentially friends you could start a business with or a game studio with. And if you ever need a publisher, I happen to know one. He sits just over there in the publishing team. This sector is booming, right? It's hugely fast-paced. It's global in the purest sense of the word. It's very accessible because anyone can play our games and they're free. I mean, anyone can play our games. So there's enormous opportunity and we're just getting started. I mean, I've said it repeatedly in the last half an hour. The world changes so fast, we never know what the game trend will be in the next week, month, or year. It's yet to be invented, most likely. And that's the opportunity at hand. If you've got game ideas, if you've got ways in marketing and creative concepts, it may be that you have the secret sauce that no one else has invented yet. And that's very accessible opportunity. And I would encourage you to leap in because it's a great industry to be in. If I can help out at all, I'm very happy to. I've left my contact details here. This presentation, there's a link at the end, which we'll share in the chat on the Kwalee blog, where you can find all the details and the links. Get in touch. We are very accessible, myself and the team here, and we'll do everything we can to help. But in the meantime, I do encourage you to follow a career in mobile games because it's fantastic fun. And Z, this is where I get lazy because what the hell starts with Z, but something does start with Z, luckily. When others zig, zag. And this is a point about marketing in general. You don't always have to be original. There is a place in marketing where proven success is replicable, and you want to do that. But there's a time and a place for differentiation, where being inventive and being creative and crafting something new to find a new opportunity is the way forward. And this, beyond almost any other career, is the place where inventiveness can basically breed rewards. So my advice, if you can call it that, be creative, be original, be random, be smart, be open, be inquisitive, be analytical, be friendly, be playful, be yourself, but crucially, have fun. A marketing career, especially in this industry, in this entertainment space we're in, is about taking fun and sharing it with the masses globally. Get them to buy into your fun world, get them to engage with it, get them to play your games. That is our job. And if it sounds like fun, then I totally encourage you to pursue a career in it. And that's about it. That's the very fast whistle-stop tour of marketing in mobile games. Like I said, the presentation will be on the Kwalee blog, and we'll share the link later on. But I've got a few minutes left in my allocated slot before everyone breaks for lunch. So I'm going to look in the Q&A and the app to see if we have any questions. Right, so... sorry, I have to go to the Q&A. This is where my technology stupidity comes in. Q&A chats. Emerging technologies like AI or machine learning can aid games marketing. Yeah, it's a very topical question, that one. AI, and we follow this mantra very purely driven by our chief exec, David Darling. We embrace it. We see AI as an augmentation of our skills, not something that threatens us as a marketing department. It augments us. It makes us better. If we can craft good ad creative and AI can support us creating a higher volume of good ad creative, we embrace it. We use it in ad creative, art creative, sound effects video. The video you saw at the beginning of Game Masters this morning, half of that video when I presented was my voice replicated in AI. And apart from a tiny Australian accent, even my wife couldn't tell that wasn't me. We embrace it wholeheartedly. It is part of our future. I don't think it's everything in our future, but the speed of technological change is such that you need to embrace it wholeheartedly rather than reject it as being something scary. And that's what we do. Let's look at some other questions. Is marketing your game on social media a good idea? Yes. The difference between, excuse me. The difference between organic social and paid social is critical here, though. We deploy organic social, so our social media accounts, a lot more so for our PC console games, less so for our mobile titles. For paid social, on TikTok, Facebook in particular, which is still very strong, Facebook is very good for testing, TikTok is very good for user acquisition, but we treat them in the same way as other media channels. We use them if the media works and the creative works on that particular game on that day, we'll invest more money in. It's driven by performance, and that's where the performance marketing piece comes in. The best way to market indie games with smaller budgets. So if we're talking sort of titles from a smaller studio for mobile games, you can test out the validity for a very, very small budget. And this is where the likes of Facebook are very useful. You know, if you haven't decided to lean into a publisher and you want to do everything yourself, I'd suggest starting with Facebook. It's a very low barrier to entry for testing ad creative. Take some of the gameplay, deploy some AI tools, create a good call to action, and create a series of A/B tests for ad creatives, and deploy a small spend campaign on Facebook, and it'll give you data. It will tell you this one works better than that one, this one works better than that one. Try, and then you'll try different iterations, and you'll end up with a better performing ad creative, and then scale there. And you only have to scale slowly, but I would think that would be one of the best places to start without having to commit telephone numbers of spends. How to know when to fail fast? Excellent question. And this is where KPIs come in. KPIs created in advance of a campaign or at the start of a strategy project or at the start of a period, say a month or a week or a day, to say, we are aiming for this. Success looks like this set of KPI and metrics. And the time level for this test or period is a week, a day, a month. If you are not hitting the KPIs by that period and the gate hasn't opened to allow you through to the next set, then that would be the point. You might decide, okay, that hasn't worked. We step away. Setting the parameters before, not after, is critical. And like I said, KPIs are invaluable in defining what good looks like. And they will also stop you from getting emotionally attached to, say, ad creative or even a game as a whole and say, oh, I really need it to work. I really want it to work. I'm going to keep on going and going and going. Define the KPIs and use those KPIs to guide where you need to tweak the performance or tweak the creative, or stop that campaign entirely because it simply isn't close to working and isn't showing a sign that it might get there one day. What do you think are the key differences between marketing in the gaming sector and the iGaming gambling sector? Very good question. Very pertinent question. I thought when I joined Kwalee, there wouldn't be much difference in user acquisition for games apps, mobile games, and the casino, poker, bingo apps that I used to sell. There's a huge difference, and the huge difference is in two parts, mostly driven by regulation. Casino and all that space requires very, very strict regulation. It requires KYC, age verification, huge amount of other things. There are very, very many fewer of those restrictions in mobile games, which means it's much more accessible. So whilst it's easier to market, it's also much more competitive, and there's a lot less money in this space. My CPI targets in that world were up to £500, $600-700, because the lifetime values were in the thousands, right? In this realm, it's in the cents and dollars bracket, because we're selling ad space. We're not driving an eagle consortium of gambling behaviors, which I'm very happy that's what I do now, and that's what I left behind. But there are significant differences. And I think on that side, there were also much more onus on brand building. The integrity security side of marketing iGaming and gambling products was much more inherent, whereas the performance marketing, the direct response elements of mobile games means there's less room and less requirement to build brands. You want to sell top of funnel to bottom of funnel very, very quickly. Here's a game, it's free, you like the look of it, install now, play the game, and they'll play, and then they'll probably move on to the next thing. And our job is to keep them in game as long as possible, watching some ads, buying some IAPs, and that's our way of generating revenue. That is the end of my time. I've got loads more questions on the app. Don't worry, I've got this afternoon, and I will go through on the app and on the website and answer as many of these as I can. In the meantime, I hope you enjoyed that. I'm sorry it was a little bit of a fast-paced tour. There's probably a lot more I could say, but thank you very much for joining. Thank you for coming to Game Masters. This deck, I'll share the link to the Kwalee blog where it'll feature. There's loads of other social elements you'll see there as well, all our PC console games and everything else on our website, including the career portal. So I'd encourage you to have a look at that after Game Masters is finished. But in the meantime, thank you for your time, everybody. Have a nice lunch break now. At 1:30, I'm delighted to say that we have our keynotes moderated by Ryan Davis, who runs the performance marketing team, and featuring Javier Castro, Jatin Mittal, and Goncalo Martins. That's going to be an absolute highlight. So I suggest you grab some lunch, and I will see you during the keynote. In the meantime, thanks so much for your time, and I'll see you soon.